I think you and I have been consistent on this issue. We have defended right-wing speakers on college campuses, even though we disagree with those right-wing speakers. And the reason why we did that, guys, is because freedom of expression and freedom of speech is important. Okay, it can't just be important to you when it comes to the issues you care about and your ability to speak freely on those issues. It's important to protect freedom of speech and expression regardless of who the messenger is and what they're messaging. Now, of course, there are certain limitations to freedom of speech. You can't incite violence, for instance, but hate speech is also protected under the First Amendment. And so, with that said, I want to just get into what's happening on college campuses right now, because there are two different groups of people, right? And I think that the two groups of people are in some cases unintentionally and in other cases intentionally being conflated. There are the people who are speaking out in favor of Hamas, and they are getting conflated with people who are not in favor of Hamas, but do not agree with the US providing unwavering support for Israel, knowing what Israel is carrying out in the Gaza Strip, knowing what the civilian death toll of Palestinians happens to be in the Gaza Strip. And so there's this effort to really silence all protesters right now on college campuses, and I think it's wrong. So when asked on the debate stage, this question was asked, okay? So when asked how they would respond to anti-Semitism on college campuses, the candidates vowed to crack down on student protesters, suggesting that pro-Palestinian activists were expressing support for Hamas. Only one, Vivek Ramaswamy, and I give him credit for this, said students should not face retribution, defending their right to free speech. Nikki Haley even suggested that college administrators were more tolerant of anti-Semitism as opposed to racism. If the KKK were doing this, every college president would be up in arms. This is no different. You should treat it exactly the same. Anti-Semitism is just as awful as racism. Again, conflating pro-Palestinian protests, pro-Palestinian student groups to individuals who support Hamas. Again, there have been a few examples of students saying things that I vehemently disagree with. I do not think you should be supportive of Hamas, but to put this, description and use it against all pro-Palestinian protesters on college campuses, I think is wrong. And not only misleading it, I think it's a lie. Governor Ron DeSantis and Tim Scott had some more extreme punishments in mind when it came to these schools and these students. Let's take a look.
So, let me just say to every single university president in America, federal funding is a privilege, not a right. To every student who've come to our country on a visa to a college campus, your visa is a privilege, not a right. To all the students on visas who are encouraging Jewish genocide, I would deport you from those campuses. We have to stand strong with our Jewish Americans.
I was the first presidential candidate to say, if you are here on a student visa as a foreign national, you're making common cause with Hamas, I'm canceling your visa and I'm sending you home. No questions asked. I already acted in Florida. We had a group, Students for Justice of Palestine. They said they are common cause with Hamas. They said, we're not just in solidarity, this is what we are. We deactivated them. We're not gonna use state tax dollars to fund jihad, no way.
So I'm just addressing what Tim Scott said. I mean, I disagreed with a lot of what was said right there on that debate stage, but Tim Scott just advocated for the government to punish universities, public universities, right? Because public universities are the ones that get federal dollars. He wants the government to punish those universities by taking away that federal funding if they allow pro-Palestinian protests on their campuses. I don't know, I'm not a constitutional expert, but isn't that unconstitutional? Doesn't that go against the First Amendment? That's the government punishing speech.
So first of all, of course that's true. And second of all, look at the irony of the Republicans. We're for freedom, man, okay? We want freedom of speech for people supporting the Confederacy, people being racist, people being sexist, people being Nazis. Freedom of speech. Oh, you're pro-Palestinian and you don't want them killed? Ban them, should throw them out of the country, take away all their funding. Come on, guys. No, seriously, if you're a right-winger and you really have said these things about how much you believe in freedom of speech, I'm curious what your position is. Look, I'll even go give you the benefit of the doubt. I think that a lot of the actual voters, that are right-wingers are gonna go, nah, it's a fair point, man. That's not freedom of speech. So why are we doing this, right? But for the politicians, oh, forget about it. They don't care. It's just a punchline to them. They don't care about freedom of speech at all. The minute you disagree with them or their donors, boom, your freedom of speech is gone in a second. What did DeSantis say there? No questions asked. How do you even know if they're guilty if you didn't ask them any questions? How do you know if they were supporting Hamas or if they were just supporting Palestinian civilians? You don't know because you didn't ask them any questions. In other words, if you disagree with my political position, I will eliminate you. That is the very opposite of freedom of speech. Inarguable.
I want to also note that just today, 1,800 Jewish Americans put out a letter. They signed a letter, okay, basically arguing that showing support for Palestinians is not the same as supporting Hamas.
Okay? Of course.
Which is obvious to anyone who's actually thinking deeply about this, not even thinking deeply, just actually stopping to think about what they're saying and what's actually going on in the country.
It's so obvious that literally everyone outside of politicians and media figures that are demagoguing on this issue. No one thinks that saying, hey, please don't kill Palestinian babies is the equivalent of supporting Hamas or being a terrorist. Unless you've lost your mind or you're a Republican, by the way, or Democratic politician or a media figure. The demagogues are the only ones saying absurd things like that.
Exactly, so Naomi Klein was one of the signatories for that letter. And I think it's important to say that because again, freedom of expression is important. Obviously, I do not support speech that incites violence or targets a certain group to be persecuted in some way or terrorized in some way. But a lot of these protesters are watching in horror as all of these innocent civilians are dying. And I think that we need to protect their speech. Even if you somehow disagree with what they're saying, okay, that's fine. But then engage in your own speech. Explain why you disagree with what they're saying. And there have been, pro-Israeli protests happening in the country as well. Good for you. I mean, that's awesome. That is what the country should be supportive of. That's all I'll say about it.
Yeah, two more things for me. One, now some Fox News anchors like Harris Faulkner is saying that all of these protesters are terrorists.
Come on.
Okay, so now wait a minute. How about the right wing? The right wing, unfortunately, has domestic terrorists in this country. The FBI has said that they're the #1 domestic terrorist group. First of all, does that make all the right wingers terrorists? Of course not. That's insanity, right? That's a tiny, microscopic percentage of right wingers that have actually done acts of terrorism in this country. Same thing with Muslims, by the way. A microscopic percentage of Muslims compared to the 1.6 billion Muslims that exist in the world, let alone protesters. So imagine if they said that about right-wing protesters. Hey, they are supporting causes that lead to the right-wing terrorism in this country. That's it, they're all terrorists. All of you right-wingers are terrorists, right? That's insane, you would never be in favor of that. And you shouldn't be in favor of that if you just substitute in Palestinians versus right-wingers, right? Second and last thing. So Nikki Haley says that she's very concerned and that these protesters, the great majority of which are just saying, please stop killing Palestinian civilians. They're the KKK. If you want to stop killing civilians, that's the KKK, okay? By the way, it's this anti-Semitic protesters, we condemn them. What's so hard about that? I don't have to arrest them, I don't have to kill them, I don't have to throw them out of the country, but yeah, don't be an anti-Semitic prick, don't be, and we'll fight you 100%. So that's easy, speech against speech, right? But she says, no, they're the KKK, all the protesters, if they dare to support Palestinians. I don't remember these same politicians going ballistic when Nick Fuentes and Kanye West had dinner with Donald Trump.
Weird.
And they both said that they were in favor of Hitler. Do you remember talking to the KKK and how Donald Trump should be disqualified and should never be seen, run for office again because he's having dinner with Nazis? He remember earlier he said that there were good people on the Nazi side. Remember the other day he used the Nazi quote about how immigrants are poisoning the blood of our nation. Only Hitler and Trump have used that quote. Did I see everyone on that stage go, KKK, Nazis, we should ban Donald Trump's speech? No, when he's actually praising Nazis and having dinner with them, no problem at all. So this isn't about anti-Semitism at all. It's as always, these corrupt politicians with their own agenda to start more wars. That's what this is about.
Hey, thanks for watching that video. We really appreciate it, guys. And we appreciate it if you become members, because that allows us to be independent, honest, progressive, all the things that you don't get from corporate media. And all of that is because of you guys. Hit the join button below and become one of us. Become a Young Turk.